Greetings, everyone. Welcome aboard show number 777.
We live. Joe Cool is saying, Ellen Long down up in chilly northeastern Ohio. Alistair Murray, Mr. President, now no longer Mr. President, but once a president, always a president. He's no longer president. He's turned the helm over to his successor.
I didn't know that.
Yep, just yesterday. Training to win, that's John Emmett. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Blake Middleton up in Minneapolis. We had a little bit different intro because this is show number 777, and that's our 777 pilot, Jonathan Frank, who opened the show for us there a few moments ago. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on what is going to be a busy show. There's a lot going on in our beloved sport, and let's get this one across the starting line. We are live here in Studio B at the Beach Street Yacht Club. As usual, my co-host Julia Vedekint is here, Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club, my landlady and dear friend. We have lots of people checking in, Julia, from around the world.
Isn't that nice?
Including John Emmett, we mentioned, Graham Sweeney up in Scotland, Larry Kennedy in New York City from the Financial District, the FIDI in NYC, Stingray up in wet Seattle, Morris Stevens in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Jody Shields and Wanji early in the morning there, 0700 in Sydney. He's just north of Sydney, and as is David Price, who's tuning in from sunny Sydney. Rob Fry in Auckland, where it's 0902. Vice Commodore Claire Harrington here in the US of A. She is either in her home in Greenwich, Connecticut, or maybe up in Newport, Rhode Island. Still Rick Bannero. Julie Ahrens is back home in Cleveland. Fritz Mueller in Miami. Ed Worley down in SoCal, and a great 777 greeting from the cockpit of a 777. That's right, Blake Middleton. We did start the show with that, and speaking of which,
yes,
we're going to start the show with a FOSI Focus, a nice one from that 777 pilot, and he is a cool person like all of our other FOSI, a Renaissance man. He's a bass player, he's a crooner and singer, he's a pilot, and he's a singer. And of course, we're talking about this gentleman who opened the show. That is Jonathan Frank. He is laying over. I think he's actually now flying from Frankfurt back to the States to, I think, IAD, which those of you know what airport code that is, Julia?
No.
It's near where you used to live. IAD is Dulles International Airport.
Oh, yeah.
In Washington, D.C. And I think Jonathan is en route from Frankfurt back to Dulles, and don't worry, he didn't record this, or he's not live in the cockpit, but he did record this yesterday in Frankfurt, maybe even this morning, I guess yesterday before leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Greetings, Tom, Julia, and all the FOSI. Jonathan Frank here in beautiful Frankfurt. Welcome aboard show number 777. Just had the privilege of flying a 777 from Houston to Frankfurt. 9 hours and 16 minutes of airtime and 146,000 pounds of gas. It's quite a flight. Somewhere over the North Atlantic, though, at about 30 west, 3:30 in the morning, had a few moments to think about the similarities between flying and sailing. And there are quite a few. And we could go on and talk about wings, vertical wings, horizontal wings, the shape of the wings and the controls that we use to manipulate that shape. We both work underneath the laws of fluid dynamics. Hull speed on my little Endeavor is probably only about 6 to 8 knots. Hull speed on a Boeing 777, despite all the thrust, is roughly about 500 knots. So there's some similarities there. We also have to deal with the weather, and we deal with the winds, and sometimes the winds and the weather give us gusts that we're not anticipating or beyond our control. Result might be a harder, firmer contact with the dock that we had wanted. And for me this morning, it was a harder and firmer contact with the runway that I had anticipated. Bottom line though, another similarity is that the cursing, whether hitting a dock or hitting a runway, is still the same. The biggest thing I came up though was the camaraderie. Sailors and aviators are a special brand of people. This earth, they just want to leave, go out and experience adventure either on the high seas or in the air. And it gives us experiences that many other people will never ever have. We all get together and we talk about those experiences, whether it's the latest aircraft or sailing technology or which airplane was better, were the old airplanes better, were the older boats better. We all have this talk and camaraderie with each other and enjoy each other's company and sharing each other's experiences. And I think that's the most wonderful thing about Sailing Illustrated. It's a place where all of us can come together and talk and banter and have some good times talking about sailing or flying or pickles or whatever the topic may be. But it's the camaraderie that we all share as sailors, aviators, historians. So thank you, Tom and Julia, for 777 magnificent shows. 777's a lucky number. You hit that in Vegas, you hit the jackpot. And I think it's the same as here. Thank you, Tom and Julia, because of your hard work, 777 shows. We definitely have hit the jackpot.
We have hit the jackpot with Jonathan Frank, too,
Absolutely.
haven't we?
Oh, yes.
What a great, he said, I'm going to walk around like John Emmett does. But then he tried it, and he said, it was easier just to sit there in front of the pond there in Frankfurt. That's Jonathan Frank in Frankfurt, now headed back to the States as a 777 pilot. And I thought that was particularly appropriate to have him.
It is, and he did a wonderful job at that, too.
He did indeed. Julia, I was afraid he was going to say something like, yeah, we talk about a lot of things on here, pickles and foxes fornicating. I didn't know what he was going to come up with there. Thanks, Jonathan Frank. Julia, what are we celebrating today? You know, because I called you last night.
Yeah. Italian cooking?
No.
No?
It is
Pasta.
Pasta. You're right. World Pasta Day. Twirl, swirl, and slurp. This dish's variety of shapes, textures, and flavors make it a favorite comfort food for many. Julia, is there anyone in the world who doesn't like Italian food and pasta? It's most everybody's favorite cuisine. Not everybody.
Oh, and not necessarily favorite, but I don't know of anybody who hates all Italian.
Well, you got to love the carbs, right? I mean, look at this.
Ooh, yes.
Look at this. Pasta comes in, I didn't know this, and over six, here we are not talking about pickles, we're talking about pasta.
Yeah.
Pasta comes in over 600 shapes known to mankind, and their names are usually Italian words that are delightfully descriptive of their shapes. Spaghetti, which means cord. Vermicelli, little worms. Rotini, spirals. Fusilli, spindles. Tortellini, little cakes. Linguini, little tongues. I don't know how to say the next one, do you? Concigli?
Yeah.
Concigli,
yeah.
Shells, fettuccine, small ribbons, penne, quills, and capellini, fine hairs are the savory little goodies that are essential to any pantry.
Indeed.
While Italian food made it famous, that was actually only a gateway to pasta. Chinese chow mein and German spätzle are just a couple of, I love spätzle, are just a couple of the ways the world has taken pasta and fallen in love with it all over again.
True.
And World Pasta Day is the perfect time to celebrate this love. Wouldn't you agree?
I would.
Julia, what is your favorite pasta dish?
It's called the chef's midnight snack.
And why?
Because all the Italian chefs in San Francisco, mostly Italian chefs, but the chefs anyway, after cooking, go
all
day and lots of stuff.
They come home
and want something really simple and really good, and it ends up being angel hair with garlic and olive oil, and lots of Parmesan and mixed up.
And that's your favorite.
It is my
Do you know what my favorite is?
no.
What is my favorite pasta? There it is. That's a clue. That is my favorite. It's a creamy white sauce. I like white sauce rather than red sauce.
Yeah, fettuccine.
Creamy chicken fettuccine
Alfredo.
Alfredo. I knew you'd like that. I knew
Yes.
you would like that.
Oh, I
That
do.
is my favorite. Creamy fettuccine Alfredo as we check in with everybody else. Tell us what your favorite pasta is on World Pasta Day here. That is John Emmett, we mentioned. Gordon Smith in Denmark, Steve Atkins. Pilots have stories just like sailors. Yes, indeed. Commodore Atkins, past Commodore of the Madison Beach Club in Connecticut. Rhode Island Rover, he has no cycles. Watching from down under is Pedro Foiling Sailor. He's in Sydney normally. J. Frederick Bland, Austin, Texas. With a big enough engine, anything will fly. MJ, Mary Judith Szymanski's in Philly. Hi, MJ. Lots of folks on here. Lots and lots. There's J. Frederick Bland. Naval aviators always stick the landing hard versus Air Force pilots. And on and on and on. Yeah, poo sticks. We haven't talked about poo sticks in a while, John Emmett.
Oh.
But we do that. Like sailing a teapot through moguls, John. Winder, not Winder. Don't call me Winder, John Winder. I had to check with him to be sure I got the pronunciation of his name correctly. And Iskau Poseidon was I-777 as we celebrate show number 777 today. Thank you for that. J. Frederick Bland and Alistair Murray really enjoyed Jonathan's message, as did we. I'm sure everybody did as well. Catherine Shaw is on from Hobart in Tasmania. We are spanning the globe, at least from Oz to Central Europe and maybe even Eastern Europe. Stingray, the best spaghetti is grown in Switzerland. Do you remember, Julia, that
spaghetti?
That YouTube thing? We
Yeah.
ran that on, I think, April Fool's Day a couple of
right.
years ago. It was a BBC.
Growing spaghetti.
How spaghetti was growing from the trees.
Well, that's how it's made, you know. I mean, it comes about.
Yeah, right. Ed Worley, it's un-American to not like pasta. I think everybody. Ryman says he probably likes too, a great spaghetti bolognese. Yarvahe, brought to Europe by Marco Polo. Is that true?
Yep.
Julia. Spag bowl is a favorite in this household. Chris Fury, who is a Kiwi living in Melbourne. In fact, we're featuring Chris in an AAAA today with Alistair in the B block.
Oh, good.
Jody Shields, I love when it's just pasta, 10 a.m. because the pub open. And Yarvahe saying, I like a puttanesca. What is puttanesca, Julia?
It's puttanescas with turkey.
It is? Is that pasta with turkey?
I think so.
Bannero's with me. He likes chicken fettuccine and on and on. Julie Aarons, my mom always said that she wanted to choke on pasta in Florence and be buried under the Ponte Vecchio looking up.
That's nice.
Sorry to inform, but the Cup is about to arrive back in Auckland on an Emirates A380, not on a 777. Rob Fry is saying, well, that's no surprise. Emirates is their sponsor. Heart attack on a plate. He's talking about my creamy chicken fettuccine Alfredo. Yeah, Blake Middleton likes chicken Alfredo as well. Seafood pasta. Yeah, that's a good one if the pasta and the seafood is fresh. On and on and on. Look at all these comments, including from Heidi Purcell. Julia, what do you think of those scones that Heidi gave us?
Ooh, they were wonderful.
Heidi Purcell, who is a Fosie and who was in Barcelona, she's been at every Cup since 83. I remember Heidi and her late husband. She's from Michigan, from my hometown, but I played hockey with her husband. And the two of them showed up in Newport in 83, maybe in 80. And I think they've been to every Cup since, including Auckland, including now Barcelona.
Yeah.
And to thank us, she sent us that nice box of scones.
I do.
From
remember.
Zingerman's Deli,
Yes.
which is a famous delicatessen in Ann Arbor, Michigan, my
Right.
hometown. And Heidi, thank you very much. We're still eating those. There are about two of them left.
You're going to fight over them.
You can have both because I've eaten more than my fair share, Julia.
No.
Anna Berkfist, the famously good sailor. She said, I like my good linguine marinara with grilled crayfish.
Ooh,
That's
that
a good
sounds
one.
good.
Garlic, and boy, this is a popular topic.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Sweeney makes chicken fettuccine for his bride, for his partner Debs, but my favorite is Assassin's Kiss. spaghetti. What is that?
You have to tell us.
Do you have any idea, Julie, what assassin's kiss is?
No.
Catherine Shaw, talk about heart stoppers. A good carbonara is her favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Puttanesca tomatoes, olives, capers, and garlic. Larry Kennedy, he knows about puttanesca as well.
Yeah.
Baton Rouge likes it al dente. And Jeff Kitson, who's a Michigan multi-sailor for 50 years here from Michigan, looking forward to the Sail GP Season 5. We're going to talk about that. That's our feature today, Jeff. Do they have pizza in Jeddah? Alex Hayworth wants to know. The comments are rolling in. Yeah, it looks like a cooking show, Jeff Kitson. You're absolutely right. Jeff, yeah, he's in Michigan. By the way, Julie, you know who's playing this weekend in college football?
Michigan.
And
Michigan State.
Michigan State. Now, I'm wearing a green and white shirt, not because I'm cheering for Michigan State. God forbid. I couldn't find my yellow shirt in time. I think it's at the cleaners. Cooking misrepresented. Not Cooking Illustrated. Food Illustrated. Yavarhe, he says anchovies. Do you like anchovies on your pizza, Julia?
You know what? It depends on the anchovy. It took me a long time to learn that. There are great anchovies and there are really terrible anchovies. So.
I'm not a big anchovy fan. Gruber says Italians don't eat turkey in general. We've already had 100 messages. We're only 16 minutes into this show. I love turkey. I would eat turkey with anything. Okay, A&M versus Texas A&M. Bob Walker, who's in Texas. Texas A&M versus LSU at Louisiana State University. College football is a favorite of many of us here in the States, and tomorrow is a college football day. Also a favorite of Julia and myself are all the Fozy, all of you who, whether you support us via Patreon, we appreciate your support, and we love all of you to death, the commenters and the Zoomers,
Right.
and all of you who have helped make this community over the last 7 now almost, well, it's 8 years. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated if you want to support us and give us a few bucks a month to keep our studio intact. We keep changing it here and there a little bit. We've added a computer. This is an old computer, one that I dragged out and fixed up. That's my old 13-inch MacBook Pro, and that meant moving Pedro Farling Sailor's Curtonic corner off the corner of the desk for more space, but we'll see.
Technology gets in the way.
It encroaches.
Yes.
It encroaches on us. Sail GP watch party next month. John Emmett is asking. I don't know, John. We can think about that. Maybe on Sunday. Maybe on the second day, which would be the 24th. Somebody's birthday is the 24th of November. But we could do a watch party. Alex Hayworth's replying to Vice Commodore Harrington. Claire, it's a high-quality, low-tide taste, especially in England. Also good on pizza in Jeddah.
He's talking about anchovies.
Yeah, I think he is. Texas versus the Vanderbilt. Commodore Vanderbilt upset Alabama. Texas is now ranked right up there in the top handful of teams. And the lowly Vanderbilt Commodores, Julia.
Yes.
You would have never thought. And of course, now the Vanderbilt Commodores, that was the Vanderbilt family, including Commodore Mike Vanderbilt, who won the America's Cup in 1930, 34, and 37, the last, until the Kiwis, the last team, quote unquote, to win the Cup 3 times in a row. There have been some yacht clubs that won it 3 times in a row. But Commodore Mike Vanderbilt, his family formed Vanderbilt University, and they are called the Commodores. How many other colleges in the U.S. or anywhere in the world are the Commodores?
None that I know of, but there may well be.
Now, for extra credit, Julia, where is Vanderbilt University? There aren't very many people that know that.
I know. It's northeast, but...
Not necessarily. Okay, John Emmett, so scone, jam first, then cream, or cream first, then jam? Well, we didn't do either. I hate to say it, but we took those scones and we buttered them. We put them in the microwave and then put a little butter. Yeah, Memphis, Nashville, they can't decide if it's in Memphis, Tennessee, or Nashville, Tennessee. Bob Walker wins. He says it's in Tennessee. He's got it right. Robert Bova. Hello, Robert. Nice to have you on. Nashville, Julie Aarons is saying, yes, we are covering the Vendée Globe. In fact, we have a segment in today's show. It starts on November 10th. The Vendée does, the 10th edition. Yeah, Nashville, Tennessee. Gordon Smith says, clotted cream on your scones first, then the jams. We could have used some of, and maybe on the remaining 2, we should break open this
Oh, yeah.
Sevilla orange marmalade that Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin sent us from the Royal
Mm-hmm.
Yacht Squadron. We could do that in honor of them being Challenger of Record again.
Oh, we could.
And you tell us, you Brits, if we should put the clotted cream on first, before or after we put on Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin's marmalade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Robert Boba, no, just what's going on here? Check out Delia Smith Putanesca. Yeah, no, we're going to cover it, Robert, and we're going to cover it in a minute. Let's get on. I think Emmett's trying to tell us to get on with the show here. Yarvahe insists that we put on the cream, the clotted cream first. And Ed really wanting to know what is clotted cream. He knows full well what it is. Okay, let's get on here. Ready about coming about. Here we go. And we get to our first segment today, which is about the ocean race. And if you saw in the show notes, this is breaking news, and I think it has far-reaching implications. To wit, today, the ocean race announced, excuse me, do you see in the upper left corner, Julia, of that slide?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of a place called Amala?
No.
Or Amala? I think it's Amala, but Amala. Do you know what that means in Arabic?
No.
Do you care?
Yes.
They're back. They're still arguing about clotted cream or jam. Which one first? Well, they announced today, that is the ocean race, that the Ocean Race 2017 will finish on the, notice they didn't say Kamala or Amala or Saudi Arabia. They said it will finish on the Red Sea.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time in its history, the ocean race sailors, will experience racing on the spectacular waters of the Red Sea. So that I get this press release and I thought, what's this mean?
Mm-hmm.
Follow the money, follow what? So I go and I have a look. Amala is I go to their website, a new sport and wellness destination on the Red Sea. Again, they don't mention Saudi Arabia in any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Will host the finish of the 15th edition of the ocean race in the summer of 2027.
Mm-hmm.
The ocean race, the mixed crew offshore sailing race around the world, which has stops, by the way, unlike the Vendée Globe, first contested in 1973, is known as the toughest test of a team in sport. Is it? Okay, for its award-winning Ocean Health Initiative, and for its award-winning Ocean Health Initiative. So we're going to have some virtue signaling here. These core aspects of the race will be on display and celebrated in Amala as the fleet races across waters known for healthy, thriving coral reefs and an impressive range of marine biodiversity. And Julia, those waters are known for a fair few other things, like the Houthi terrorists from Yemen shooting at boats in the Red Sea.
I've been through the Red Sea on a cruise ship, and that's where we were.
Is that where you're hijacked?
Yep.
In the Red Sea?
Yep.
You have to tell that.
Well, no, it's after we're just out of the Red Sea.
Yeah, I thought you were out in the ocean.
Yeah, we were.
Okay, well, we'll tell that story again sometime. Yeah, they'll have to stop the Houthi missile and drone attacks first, Ed Ryman is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Worley saying, blah, 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 spin, 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 follow the money. Well, let's follow the money here because I found this to be interesting. Here's the video. The grand finale in Amala, and look at the comments. Look at the comments. Rick Banner, who's a consummate journalist and photographer and longtime friend and sponsor, the guy's a very smart guy. And Fozy, of course, talk about breathless blather that puts press in press release. He's right up there with a couple of the others. Ed Worley and co. Foiling is the future, John Emmett is saying. It's a bit of a non sequitur, John, but we'll get back to that. Mark Reed, who's still, I didn't know Mark was still in Barcelona. He's saying lots of local political intrigue surrounding the, quote, hosting, unquote, controversy. We'll pronounce it like the Brits do. Controversy. With several teams with permanent bases here in Barcelona, don't rule out a return to Barcelona. Mark, calling Mark. Follow the money, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much money on offer there in Barcelona. They're split. There's nobody really in charge. Don't bet on it, Mark.
Alan Long says going through the Suez.
Yeah, well, I'm coming to that. Yeah, did you see that in that video? I'm going to come back to that. Good. Yep, they're going through the Suez. Fritz Mueller, Marine history of Arabic nations important. Can't deny. Yes, maritime history. Yes, indeed. Until it gets political. It's a widening war zone. Replying to Emmett, are they going through the Suez? Yes, Alan Long. Julie Ahrens, who's just come from Barcelona, is a close friend of Grant Dalton, saying it is not happening in Barcelona again. By the way, Julie, I think I'm not going to I think I am saying this without putting words in her mouth. She says it's not going to happen in Jeddah, but it'll happen in the Middle East. She thinks I had a long talk with her yesterday.
Yeah.
And now that she's back and she's still a little jet lagged. And by the way, I also had a discussion with her. This is talk about a non sequitur.
Yeah.
Is it harder on your body going west or east, multiple time zones?
You know what? It changes the people I talk to. Some people.
How about for you?
It's easier coming west.
And harder going east. I agree with you. That's what I told Julie Ahrens yesterday. I said, Julie, for me, and I've been doing this for 40 years, a lot of time zones. I commuted from Europe to New Zealand for years.
Yeah.
A couple times, sometimes twice a month, back and forth, and it was just crazy.
Yeah.
And that's 12 time zones. For me, going west was, even if it was halfway around the world, going west was easier.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to know what Jonathan Frank, because he does this professionally, flying planes around.
Oh, let's ask him.
It's easier for me going west, but it takes longer to adjust. And that's what I told Julie Ahrens. She thinks going west is harder on her than going east. I wonder what Heidi Purcell thinks, and some of the others, Mark Reed, who've been back and forth.
I think it's least hard on people who do not keep regular schedules.
Least hard on people who are all over the map. They go to bed one night at 10, the next night at 2 in the morning, that sort of thing.
Yep, and I'm one of those people. As a rule.
You are. You're a night owl, little feet. Admit it, Julie. You're a night owl.
Yeah, but I don't keep regular schedules about anything, except of course for Sailing Illustrated.
Of course. You're here promptly at noon every day, so we can get ready for a 1 o'clock show. West is best, east is the beast. Emmett agrees with Australia. Worst is going east, Gordon Smith. Yeah, I don't mind going east. I feel worse, but I adjust much more quickly, much quicker. A regular body clock is key to good health, yes. John Emmett, our coach Emmett, and our resident health expert, doesn't matter, both suck, Rob Fry. Okay, how'd we get off on that? We're back on Amala, the grand finale, and yes, they are going to go through the Suez, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but I had to Google this. I had to look this. I was, Julia, when you got down here, I told you I was way behind schedule because of this breaking news from the Ocean Race that they're following the money and following whatever else. But this is Amala, stylized Amala. You can see the Arabic spelling there. Mm-hmm. Is a planned tourism mega project in Saudi Arabia. The project, which is developed by public investment fund owned Red Sea Global, forms part of the Saudi Vision 2030 program. The project consists of 3 main developments: the coastal development, Amala Island, and Triple Bay, which is where the yacht club is. Mm-hmm. The project is under the patronage of Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who is the deputy PM, although he's running the place, and is managed by the public investment fund. Amala is planned to span over 4,200 square kilometers.
Wow.
First phase of the project was planned to be completed by 2020. I take it was not completed by 2020. And the project is to be wholly accomplished by 2028. We'll see if that happens, but in any event, if it is, it could accommodate, one assumes, a 2027 America's Cup.
Mhm.
Yarvahe is calling MBS something stronger than a crouton. Going west obviously sounds fishy to me, Bob Steele says. And Julie Aronson talking about jet lag. Yeah, it does take longer to recover, is my experience going west, but it's, it doesn't feel too bad. You're
As
tired.
long as you lie to yourself the instant you get off the plane.
Well, that's, everybody, Emmett's got all sorts of things he does. I, over the years, developed a routine. I'd get on the plane and I'd take a melatonin and a glass of wine and not eat until you got to where you were going, and then eat the meal that was on offer, even if it was a 9-hour flight, 10, 12-hour flight. Then kind of wake up, get your body going, eat something, get your whole metabolism going. And I just could, I can sleep on a plane. There's some people who just simply cannot sleep on a plane.
I can do that easily.
Oh, I could sleep on the floor of Grand Central Station. Not for very long, but I'm not a big long sleeper, as you know. Okay, there's some advice, I think, from John Emmett. So it's just an Alicante? No, it's not. It's around the world, Rob Fry. Actually, let's get back to this and stick with the story that we're on. We keep digressing. Here is the map. So you can see there, after that nice move transition, you can see that it's right up here. It's quite a bit north of Jeddah. There's Jeddah. And there is Amala. And of course, it's right up here. And where things are these days. Well, maybe it'll all settle down by then. One can only hope, but it hadn't settled down for 1,800 years. What makes you think it's going to settle down in the next, 3 or 4 years?
I was there in 2005, and it was all quiet.
Well, it was, but there's periods up and down, as you well know.
Yeah.
I was there in 1973. In a capacity that I still am not permitted to talk about, but we will in due course. Here's another video.
From its inception, the Amala project has been driven by the vision of creating a keystone development within the large Prince Mohammed bin Salman Nature Reserve. This vision was realized with Amala, a new yacht club set within the Triple Bay Marina of the Prince Mohammed bin Salman Nature Reserve. Welcome back to Genesis. In today's video, we'll look at the Project Amala Saudi Arabia. Before we proceed, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell for regular updates. The ultra-luxury giga project being developed along Saudi Arabia's northwestern coast, Amala, which means the source of happiness in Arabic, has revealed the design for its Triple Bay Yacht Club. The yacht club will feature a pool and spa, gymnasium, children's playroom, and study room with a library. The building will also have 3 restaurants, a lounge bar and lounges, a spa area for adults and children, coffee shops and bars. In addition to these amenities, it will have a private beach area. The design of the new Saudi Arabian Museum of Art and Archaeology aims to showcase a captivating, free-flowing structure that creates a meeting point between the land and the sea. The museum, which was scheduled to open in 2020...
Okay, I'm not going to play this a long video. You can see it's a massive
I was
development.
going to say, yes, it's
It's
huge.
a beautiful looking yacht club if it really happens.
Yes.
Back to cooking the sauce of happiness, Chris Fury, our Kiwi living in Melbourne, Australia, is saying. But nonetheless, this is a big project, and the Ocean Race is all in. They are going to finish there at this yacht club. So I said that's an artist's rendition, obviously. I don't think it's up. I don't believe it is. It looks a bit like a cruise ship. It reminds me a little bit of the Hamilton Island Yacht Club up there in Hamo.
I was thinking that.
Australia.
Yeah.
Doesn't it look like that, Julia?
Mhm.
And it's the venue location
That's
has the aura of being close to a very sketchy neighborhood. The yacht club looks like another Euro cruise ship, Banro is saying, but it does look like it could be amazing. I mean, it's a beautiful looking, and it'll be warm there. It's needless to say, and there's a bit of a sea breeze, as we learned from Jeddah. We can go yacht racing 5 times a day right after the call from the mosque, Rick Banner was saying. Okay, but there's more here. This from the release from the Ocean Race 2027 today. It will, the penultimate leg of the Ocean Race will be from a European port as yet undesignated to a finish line in the Mediterranean Sea off Port Said in Egypt, just near the mouth of the Suez. The race fleet will then assemble to transit together to the Red Sea via the Suez Canal for the start of the final leg, approximately 135 nautical miles to the finish line just off Amala. I heard the gentleman in that video we just played pronouncing it Amala, so I will continue to pronounce it thus. So there is the penultimate and last leg. They're coming from somewhere in Europe, maybe Genoa. They haven't said, they haven't announced, they haven't done the deal apparently yet, to Port Said there. Have you been to Port Said, Julia?
Yep.
In Egypt? You've been all over.
Well, yes. And that was, and through the Red Sea.
And have you been through the Suez?
Yes.
So
several times.
They'll go through the Suez, and then they'll race the last 130 plus miles, 135 nautical miles to the finish line just off Amala. And the co-president said in the release, quote, from a sporting perspective, this final leg in the northern part of the Red Sea will make for a thrilling conclusion to the around-the-world race with a short final leg in reliable sea breeze conditions to the finish at Amala. That's a quote from Johan Selin from Sweden, who's the co-president of the ocean race. Julia, what do you think?
Well, if the world holds together, it should be good.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
You're starting to sound optimistic, like Gordon Smith, our resident optimist. We're going to put you and Gordon in the same boat here. There's Gordon, speaking of Gordon, saying, am I the only one who knows people who live and work in Saudi Arabia quite happily? NB, nota bene, including a single white woman who leads construction projects. See that? I told you he'd be in favor of this. And I'll tell you another one who will be. He's not on. I don't want to put words in his mouth. But Andrew Pindar does a lot of work in the Middle East, including in Saudi
I
Arabia.
did some too, which was...
Did you headhunt for somebody?
Oh, yes. Three Arab companies. And the first of which, they didn't know I was a woman, and so one of them came.
Who'd they think Julia was?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know, but
I mean,
he was so.
These days, Julia could be a man, but not back in your day.
Yeah, maybe I don't know why, but he was a little surprised to see me, and he said, "I ordinarily don't make these visits, but our experience with this company has been so good that I had to meet the person who was doing it."
Was this a candidate you were talking to?
No, it was a company who was hiring.
Oh. Okay. Kate Walker, Alan Long has reminded us. Yes, Kate Walker, she's been on. She watched a lot of the America's Cup, I think, with great interest. I can't imagine thinking Julia was not a woman, Gordon Smith. Exactly. Okay, well, that's the latest from the ocean race. That's breaking news. That's why I put it at the top of the show, where we normally put our reliably cool report from our Fozy and super coach John Emmett. Let's get to that. Coaching Corner with John Emmett. And here's his report today. And, there's another little bit of an issue going on at another one of his yacht clubs. I don't know if it's something to do with John, but these yacht clubs of which he's a member seem to get into some kind of turmoil. Hopefully this is getting sorted out. John's report from the Castle Cove Sailing Club.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Welcome to John Emmett's Coaching Corner. And the first thing I was going to comment about was the America's Cup. So, the King's dead, long live the King. I think we can already start looking forward to the America's Cup 38, bigger and better than ever before. Now, one of the things is they want to expand it. I see this as only a good thing. And from a personal point of view, I'm really keen that every cycle, Ineos seems to be getting better and better. I'm also really keen that there's young Italian talent coming through. So I think as the whole event goes on, every cycle, it just gets closer and closer. And I think that will make the sailing even more exciting to watch. Now, one of the things for me is the clubs and classes. and we talked a little bit about this with Castle Cove Sailing Club. So I'm here at Castle Cove making my latest video to try and explain what happened with the current situation. So I don't take this very lightly, and it's been quite a contentious issue. So a commercial organisation was operating paddling at Castle Cove, and you know, it's above my remit to say what commercial organisation is, but every bit of legal advice the club has was this was a commercial organisation. And then they wanted to expand to bring in sailboats, use the club's ribs, etc., run courses. And this caused a huge amount of upset within the committee, with some very strong feelings. This is where democracy takes over. So the general committee had a vote, and that vote went 7-2 in favour of ceasing the relationship with the commercial organisation. And in fact, actually, one of those two people, I think, subsequently resigned. So if we did have a continued relationship with them, it'll be hard to know who would be keen to facilitate that. But it actually went to the membership with a special general meeting, and nearly 200 members came part. And again, there was a vote. And having established what the committee position was, although obviously it wasn't unanimous, the membership also agreed. So that's how it works. So Castle Cove Sailing Club will go back to just being a sailing club without a commercial organisation using the premises. And that's the update for today. And I suspect there will be more updates on Weirwood to follow, which is a very different situation, also equally as sad. So I think it's really important that we protect these volunteer organisations, and to everybody who served on a committee either before or after, whatever people's views, I want to thank them very much, because it's no light thing to give up your time in a member organisation. But I'm really looking forward to just getting back to what sailing is all about, going and doing club races, bit of training, and having a beer and a chat with good friends after. For those of you who are watching live, please remember to like and share, and I would say that comments are always welcome, especially in replay. And for me, I won't be able to make the latest show because we've got live racing myself, so I think that is always a very good excuse if I'm actually on the road myself. But I will check all the comments as always.
He's on here. He's been on here since the get-go. He must not be out yacht racing today.
Mm.
We better not make him a member of the Beach Street Yacht Club, Julia, because we might start running into all sorts of problems like this two clubs. No, seriously, he's trying to help both those clubs get sorted out. And the Weirwood one, it looks like that commercial organization is taking over the premises. They own, apparently, the property on which that club is located. And they're not going to renew the club's lease, which is really sad. That's where John grew up, learned to sail, and we'll probably cover that some more in due course. But looks like the membership at Castle Cove have really sorted things out. The board voted 7-2. I wonder where they got that. And as you all know, that was the outcome at the Cup, at the America's Cup. And hopefully they are sorted out now, and whatever the problem was with that commercial organization, the membership had the vote as well, and it's behind them. Put the past, as Pumbaa said in Lion King, let's put the past behind us,
Yeah.
Julia.
Ed Worley says it's great to see asking the yacht club members involved in the decisions. RNZ, well, New Zealand Yacht Club.
Unlike the RNZ.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we shall see. It's, it cuts both ways. Here in San Francisco, we elect people to be, here in California, in fact, we elect people to be the state representatives and go make legislation in Sacramento in the state capitol. but then they run the state. We run the state, not me. You've been here forever. I'm just a carpetbagger. But they run the state by referendum, and they keep putting. I mean, how many referendum are there on the ballot?
50
Referenda
probably.
for the ballot next week on November whatever it is, Tuesday the 4th.
Lots.
And they ask people vote yes or no on this, and the reason they do that is because they raise money and it supports advertising on television, and all the media companies love it because they get so much revenue from. Vote for this, vote no on E, vote yes on E, and oh man, why do we have these representatives if then they're going to put this all to a public referendum among millions and millions and millions of people?
The public is stupid and they can't make up their own mind, so therefore they have to take care of them.
Ed Worley agrees. Sacramento, our state capital here, is a black hole of corruption. It just, it'd be like World Sailing putting out say, well, in the Olympic classes, here's our decision by the council and by our executive committee, but now we're going to put it out to vote to all the sailors in the world. Right. Popularity contest. Not that the decision would be all that. It might be a better decision. Okay, how did we get off on that?
I don't know.
John Emmett sent this photo. I was going to put this in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, but I thought it belonged here, apropos what's going on at those clubs. Did you know that water is the most essential element of life, Lucy says? And yes, without water, you can't. Then somebody's photoshopped in. You can't go sailing.
Yep.
Okay. Was he a sailor? The late, great Charles Schultz? The Peanuts cartoon?
No, he was a skater.
He was a hockey player. Right. Well done. Well done. He was a hockey player. In fact, there's a triple rink up wherever he was from, up someplace north and east of here, inland. I got invited to a tournament there.
He built that.
Yeah, he did. He owned it, built it. There's a big senior hockey tournament there.
Yeah.
But I was invited to
near
play
Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa, is it? So it's just north of here. Okay. How do we get onto hockey and hockey rinks in Peanuts? That's John Emmett's report. John Emmett Sailing, get to the front of the fleet. I appreciate his regular reportage. Petaluma, Ed Worley's asking.
Yeah.
Blake Middleton. So Charles Schultz, the Peanuts cartoonist, he was from Minnesota, so he must have tried sailing. Well, hopefully. He certainly did play hockey, though.
He was really a ice skater.
Well, somebody should check that out. Not that it matters, but we saw Peanuts cartoons about hockey, but I don't ever remember one about sailing. But maybe there was. Who would know? How could you ever watch all those? Julie, what happened this day in history? And this is apropos, really not maritime stuff, marine stuff, but it's apropos how that this happened after the America's Cup started in 1851, 10 years after the America's Cup. This happened on this day in history in 1861. Here is your first clue, courtesy of the History Channel. United States Military Telegraph.
The Army-Navy game?
No, that didn't start till the late 1800s or maybe early 1900s. We're talking about college football again. You see the date up there, October 25th, 1861, not the deed of gift. But it's hard to believe, at least I found it hard to believe, this was, and that is, the first San Francisco to the District of Columbia, to Washington, D.C. It's the first transcontinental telegram ever sent on this day in 1861.
That's interesting.
And it was from the head of the Supreme Court here in California, the Chief Justice, to Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the U.S. But here's the background. In the first half of the 19th century, Samuel F.B. Morse's telegraph began to tame America's vast distances, allowing people to communicate instantly as long as they were in the same geographic region. I didn't know this geographic area. There was both an Eastern U.S. telegraph system and there was a Western U.S. telegraph system, and there, between them, the twain did not meet, if that's a mixed metaphor. So they had to patch the distance from Missouri, from Kansas City approximately, to Salt Lake City, which they did. And Congress apparently decided to do this, gave 40 grand to somebody, and that turned out to be the Western Union Telegraph Company to complete that link. So the first transcontinental telegraph system was completed on October 24th, 1861 by the Western Union Company, which linked the, okay, that goes into this, the networks of East and West. Stephen J. Field, the Chief Justice of California, sent the first cross-country message on the new line the next day, on October 25th, 1861, addressed to President Abraham Lincoln in Washington, D.C., and in the message, he said, well, you know, I think this new technology will help bridge the gap. It'll help the Western states stay loyal to the Union, the non-slave states. During the Civil War, California, of course, was a non-slave state. And it was also the end, as Alan Long is saying, it was the end of the Pony Express. But I still find that astonishing that a transcontinental telegraph was not in place until 10 years after the America's Cup. I mean, that's, I guess, more or less a statement about telegraphy and more a statement about how old the America's Cup truly is.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just weird, but I found that astonishing, as I did to learn that Lincoln, who was the only president who had by the way, the only president who ever had a
beard
patent. No, they all had beards after him, but nobody, apparently he was the first one without a beard. Lincoln was so taken with the new technology, which he called lightning messages, that he sometimes slept on a cot in the telegraph office during major battles of our Civil War.
Well, that's interesting.
To this day in history, the 25th of October, 1861, 163 years ago today. First transoceanic cable was US-UK. Yeah, it went through that was actually Nova Scotia, wasn't it? And the pound-dollar exchange rate is still called cable, is it? Okay, and cheap burgers became available. Okay, that was at this day in history. Again, more not related to maritime per se, but more related to the idea. I always find things interesting in and around the first America's Cup, or AC-0, which was 1851, and then the first defense of the America's Cup, of course, was 1870, and then also in 71. Okay, Bravo Zulu. We've been covering this, but I thought we should do it in earnest here as that race now is finished. That is the Rolex Middle Sea race. And this from Tip and Shaft, I commend this to you again. I'm going to get back to this newsletter, today's Friday newsletter, on another topic. But this is the photo of the week, they call it. They always have one photo in it. It's largely print. There's hardly anything in it except links. Each year, the Middle Sea Race offers the 100 or so crews taking part in a variety of conditions in Mediterranean landscapes, with the ever-popular passage of Stromboli. The 2024 edition was no exception to the rule, with a tough start, and we're going to show you some wind from that.
Yeah,
some video from that, with a tough start that led to some 30 retirements, while the 100-footer Scallywag, Sang Huang Lee's boat, which we told you about on Tuesday, was the first to cross the finish line, was line honors winner in Valletta in Malta in 21 hours, 33 minutes and change. Victory in the IRC overall went to the TP52. That class continues to win a lot of races, to Red Bandit, who is a German owner, skipper, Karl Peter Forster, who's done some cool things we're going to tell you about in a moment. Ahead of Teasing Machine, Eric de Turkheim, who is he? Remind me, is he Swiss? I don't know. He's a friend of Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin, who commends him to us as just being a class act.
I was trying to remember the original owner of Scallywag and then the young
David Witt. They did the Round the World, but that was in a Round the World race.
Yeah, but somebody else bought a young somebody from San Francisco bought Scallywag.
That was a different Scallywag.
Was it?
Oh yeah, for sure. This is the Hong Kong entrepreneur who owns this Scallywag, and he has a couple of them. The big one. This is the big one, the 100-footer.
Well, this was big.
So the Teasing Machine, while in the Class 40 category, it was, how do you pronounce that? Tyrolit, who's Matteo Suricano, that came out on top in the rankings. There's a link to the rankings. I'll show you the top 5 in a moment in the IRC. Yeah, Red Bandit is a German boat, Chris actually is saying. Yes. indeed. And here first, before we talk about Red Bandit and their German owner, Skipper, who's doing some cool stuff with young people that we talk about on this show regularly. So we're going to talk some more about it with him. Here's this video of the 60-plus knot squall that some of the teams, many, I guess, if not all the teams, suffered on, what was it, day 1 or day 2? Have a look at this.
See, I said it.
You were saying, Julia.
No, I got that.
You sent me a link from
Yeah.
Facebook about this.
But it was from our friend Fozy in Malta.
Lightning, knockover. I mean, all they've got's a reef main up. I don't know what boat this was. Somebody sent me a link to Facebook and I didn't manage to get the name of the yacht. But watch the Lightning. So I think there were, give or take, 100 entries, and 30 of them retired after these squally conditions. But watch this here. It gets... Yeah, Blake Middleton is agreeing. Heavily reefed main only is a clue to what they faced, indeed. Lucky no one was hurt in what's about to happen. Yeah, the reef does look a little shaky, doesn't it, Yarvahe? Fresh to frightening, John Emmett is saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Watch this, Julia. I don't know what this guy, I guess he's trying to surf down the waves. Oh man, I mean, if that guy had been looking back here,
yeah.
maybe they were trying to jibe and maybe everybody knew they were going to jibe. So they were all waiting for it to come across.
Yeah.
But that looked scary.
Yep.
Okay, enough of that video. But it was scary conditions. Let's go back then to the race itself, because it was, we told you on Tuesday that here's David Witt. And his team, Scallywag, sailed apparently beautifully. They took the Rolex Middle Sea Race line honors. They were first to finish. The gentleman on the left representing Rolex, and there's the Commodore of the Royal Malta there on the right. And here's a video about their win.
This was really the first chance. This is a real prestigious Rolex race. This was going to show whether we did the right thing or not, and thank God we did.
It was non-stop, one after another. Lots of changes, lots of things to figure out.
The critical point was when we came around the island at the end. Blackjack, for the first time in 550 miles, let us go. And we got to the bottom of the island. I thought we were going to attack, and Juan said, that cloud over there, we're going to that cloud. We're going to go into the cloud and we're going to look like it's terrible. We're going to come out on the other tack. We're going to be 30 degrees higher and we're going to have a shot. So when Juan Villa says that, you do what Juan Villa says.
Well, Blackjack is an excellent boat and it's an excellent crew, so they've done really well, and if it wasn't for the last opportunity, they would have won this race easily.
It's a very dangerous situation every time because you don't know where the new wind is going to coming from. We were a great team before the start, a great team during the race, and now we are a great team after the finish line, even if we are.
So to come here for our first effort and get a result, it's just absolutely fantastic.
Okay, so bravo Zulu to David and to Juan. Juan was just inducted in the America's Cup Hall of Fame. If you recall, we talked about him on the show, one of the shows last week, I think it was, in that beautiful event in the Maritime Museum in Barcelona. Well done, fantastic job. Here are the top 5. This is IRC overall. So you can see Red Bandit, about whom we're going to talk next, won on corrected. This is IRC overall corrected. Teasing Machine second, and that's Mitch Booth, isn't it? Mitch Booth is the skipper of Kuka 3, which is a mully hull. And then Balthasar Rogier, Van Overveld, and then the Spirit of Lorena. They're the top 5 corrected after everything was said and done. Now, speaking of Red Bandit.
That's a good
isn't that?
picture, yeah.
And Kurt, these are all Kurt Arago photos. Thanks to Kurt for these great stuff. And Fritz Mueller, the TP-52s do seem to lead the way more than their fair share of time. And part of that, of course, is their good design and well sailed. But part of it is that because the boats are so well known and they're raced one design in a lot of different places, not one design, but they're race level racing in a fleet, they help each other get better because they're tuning up against other very similar boats. Needless to say, these guys sailed a hell of a race. They finished on Wednesday, so almost a day behind, if my memory serves, behind when the Line Honors winner, when Scallywag finished. They're the winner of the 45th edition of the Rolex Middle Sea Race, and it was announced as the German TP-52 Red Bandit, skippered by Karl Peter Forster. The Royal Malta Yacht Club has confirmed that they did on Wednesday that none of the remaining yachts still racing were able to better Red Bandit's IRC corrected time. Quote, "It's almost unbelievable. It would be very satisfying if it comes through," said Forster ahead of the formal confirmation. "I'm particularly proud of these young people, most of whom did not sail a big boat 4 years ago. They learned to sail this machine so well, which is pretty amazing. I'm proud of this group and how they get together how they gel together as a team." This was my 7th race. It was the usual amazing, multifaceted Rolex Middle Sea Race. Wind up to 60 knots in a thunderstorm. The fastest Messina Strait crossing thanks to 6 knots of current with us. The usual light winds and good boats all around us. Good fighting and competition all the time, continued Herr Forster. Red Bandit crew, and I guess I'll read their names. I'll probably murder a few of them, but Karl Peter Forster, and then, of course, Bauer van der Weyden, Christian Buck, Frederick Eichhorst, Jakob Meggendorfer, Jesper Radich, the famously good navigator, tactician Jesper Radich, Joshua Weber, Max Wenzel, Moritz Troll, Moritz Forster, must be the son, Nico Janssen, Nicholas Schubert, Oliver, I don't know how to pronounce that, Oxygs, I'm sorry, I don't, Sophie, I assume that's a woman, von Waldau. So a young team, and here's the punchline, if you will. The Red Bandit campaign provides a pathway program for young athletes under the 4-star. I don't know if that's a misprint by Royal Malta, if it's the Forster, because that's his name, offshore foundation set up by Forster, or if it's really called 4-star. The foundation enables highly competitive dinghy sailors and other youth talent to experience and develop as big boat offshore racers. So this guy set up a foundation to do that and to get young kids involved and bring in young top-notch dinghy sailors, presumably mostly German. With the principal exception of Forster and the highly experienced tactician Jesper Radich, who's Danish from memory, right? Jesper's Danish? Is he Danish or German? The crew is under the age of 30.
Terrific.
Gordon Smith, remind me, is Jesper Danish or German? Gordon seems to know him, so he may well be Danish. I seem to remember. Tally Ho is about to sail around the world, take part in the Fast at 100 after she won an amazing project. Red Ferengi. Okay, so a few comments there. But I don't know who this guy Forster is. I'm going to ask Andrew McIrvin about him because he seems like a cool dude. And to set up this foundation, I mean, bravo Zulu to him. We talk about that all the time. Yeah, Jesper Radich is Danish, about to lead an X-Yachts project, Gordon Smith confirms. Top bloke, yeah. So thank you for that. And then finally, the team that won IRC 1, Class 1, Division 1, we have a video about them as well, the big boats. Have a look.
The boat I'm sailing on is named Balthazar. It's a family project. That's the whole idea, to combine my friends who are amateurs with a couple of his friends and a couple of professionals.
It is just a really nice group of guys, and I'm really enjoying sailing with them, and I hope we're going to do much more, and this is only the beginning.
It was a very challenging first night, a classic middle sea race. We had our fair share of carnage, you might say, but managed to escape it with all our fingers and toes intact.
I think we've seen all of it. We've seen very windy downwind, windy upwind, no wind, and the beautiful islands around, so it was super cool.
The boat is strong, much stronger than we thought. The weather is great, but then you have from 0 to 45 knots, you have rain, you have thunder, you have lightning, so it's super intense, and it's every minute you have to be on the ball.
There were a bunch of different forecasts floating around. We ended up sort of light air running, and then there was a little transition, and then we were beating.
Well, yeah, in the end it's a race not to be underestimated. And seeing next to Lucky was for us was great for the morale. Yeah, it's good to sail with boats around you. It definitely motivates. And yeah, we're happy we've beaten them all in our class, so that's the most important.
Now, you heard him say it's a family project, but it's a Royal Malta Yacht Club boat and team, apparently. And the club is very proud of them having won IRC 1, Division 1, and bravo Zulu to them. So I don't know if that's the old Sahana Yarvahe. You would know better than I, but again, another fabulous race, great videos from Rolex.
Yes.
And congratulations to all of our friends and some dear foci at Valletta at the Royal Malta Yacht Club. Bravo Zulu indeed. Julia, we have, and I've been remiss in not getting this up sooner, but Alistair has sent us a trip on a quad A, AAAA, from right after the America's Cup, featuring another one of our foci, Chris Fury, the Kiwi, proud Kiwi of his team, but he's living in Melbourne as well, and they caught up and filmed a segment at the Sandringham Yacht Club. They're preparing for the Taser Worlds. I think both of them. I don't for sure Alistair is. So he actually submitted 2 videos. Here's the first one by way of introduction. Then we'll have the interview with Chris Fury.
Okay.
Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and all the foci. This is Alistair here with AAAA. It's been quite a while because of all this America's Cup action, but I'll be back. Don't worry about that. Watched the Cup last night. I said I was going to bed, but I actually stayed up and did watch the last race because I figured it was about to start. It was an interesting outcome. So I'll have more to say about that in another video. Tom, you predicted 7-2 to the Kiwis. I predicted 7-2 to the Kiwis. And I think Chris Fury, who's a Kiwi living in Melbourne, and a mate of mine, tipped 7-2 to the Kiwis. So I'm going to get together with Chris for a little chat later, and and I'll send it through tomorrow with a few comments on what we felt about the Cup. I'm here at Sail Sandy, which is a fantastic regatta that is run annually here at Sandringham. That's the marina in the background, as you can see. I'm sailing in my Taser and racing with 4 races today. So if we just pan around here, around through all the J's and other boats and over to behind me, that's the Taser sitting in here. And what I might do is I'll do a little bit of a walk through the boat park. So I'll just get myself organised and I'll just go for a bit of a stroll, give you a bit of a feel for what it's like. We've got 175 boats, kids everywhere, adult dinghy sailors like myself, aiming to be the world's oldest dinghy sailor one day. Not quite there yet, but I'll always be ahead of John Emmett because I'm older. All right, well, I'll just check out now, but I'll come back in a little while and I'll do a little bit of a walk through the boat park. And I'll also have a chat with Chris Fury, and I hope you enjoy that. Bye. Cheerio.
So remember, we covered this Sail Sandy in our show on Tuesday. Big deal. All those classes.
Oh, I know.
and at his club, at his home club there in Melbourne, Sandringham Yacht Club. And is he soon to be the ex-president? Yes, he has sent me another video saying that, I think it just this week, he has turned the helm of Australian sailing over to his, I guess, vice president, who's now the president. And there's no dispute. He's not challenged the election. I think he's probably relieved to be out of the job. But what a great Fosie.
He did a great job, too.
Apparently. There's some people who are not happy with him, but, you know, that's always the case. You can't please all the people.
All the time.
All the time. Robert Bova, Alistair, we miss you at Metz at the Louis Bar. We featured that bar on this show, too, Robert. But look at this interview. Enjoy this interview that Alistair does with our other Fosie, Chris Fury. Oh, first, I'm sorry. I forgot I have 2 photos here that Alistair sent through as he's getting his Tazar ready for the Sail Sandy Regatta. I think it was last weekend. And this regatta, maybe it was the weekend before, but they are also getting ready for the Tazar Worlds. And Alistair is planning to sail in that, and that's, I think, early next year. Here's the interview.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and all the Fosie. This is Alistair with AAAA for this week. And I've got a special guest and very good friend of mine with me, Tom. I won't ask you to guess who it is because you're watching the video, but this is Chris Fury, who's one of the Fosie and has been on your show for the last couple of years. Chris, say hi to Tom.
Hi, Tom, and all the Fosie, and Julia.
Yeah,
it's lovely to be here. Can't forget Julia. She's a very important part of the show.
I nearly forgot you. No, I would never forget Julia. She's my favourite. So, Chris, how long have we known each other?
I think you came looking for a ride on my father's boat in 1977. So since then, and then we've known each other professionally for over various aspects of my career, in chandlery and in yacht sales and what have you. So, and around the yacht club, we've been good mates for a very long time.
It's been a great friendship, and of course, what's been dominating us our lives recently has been the America's Cup. And Chris has been watching every race, and I've been watching every race. You've been watching it, but listening to the feed from Sailing Illustrated, haven't you?
Absolutely. I found that the best way to do it. I had difficulty trying to log into it. My son was upstairs watching it on his TV, but I watched it through Sailing Illustrated because I found the comments and particularly the information from John Emmett, who gave a free coaching clinic every night. It was fantastic. And the camaraderie that exists in the program just shone through and made it a really pleasant experience. Nerve-wracking at times with the yacht racing, but a great thing to do and be part of.
Good on you, Chris. Well said. My favourite, unashamedly, Gordon Smith. He is the eternal optimist. He's optimism.
Pom living in Denmark, it would have thought.
Anyway, you've created a real community here, Tom. Now, Tom, you, Chris, and I all have one thing in common. The 3 of us all predicted the Kiwis 7-2.
That's right.
Chris Fury, Alistair Murray, Tom Eamon, the 3 that got it right. So, Chris, what did you think of your prediction?
There's years of skill and experience behind that, Alistair. I thought that the Kiwis left New Zealand in a position to win the Cup. I don't think that their sailing in the preliminary event really made any difference at all. I think they were already at a level that was going to take them where they ended up. I guess I should reveal my reasoning behind that, and that, of course, is that I am a proud New Zealander. So I just want to mention that.
So he's a Melbourne boy, but Kiwi, but born in New Zealand. So my read on it was I actually thought the reason I went 7-2 in favour of the Kiwis, and I know that after the Louis Vuitton Cup, everyone was saying the Poms are going to win this and the Poms they were on fire. They were. But I really felt that the Kiwis had nothing to gain by showing their hand early in the pre-racing they did against the challengers. They had nothing to gain, and I always felt that they would come out with better everything, better sales foils and a better game plan. They had nothing to gain by showing their hand early, and that's why I predicted what I predicted.
I think that, as I said, I think they were at the level they needed to be to win the Cup before they left New Zealand.
Yeah.
And it's a credit to their team, to the skills, the engineering, the sailing, of course, but the the depth of the team going back so many challenges has enabled them to get to a level that is going to be very hard to beat going forward.
Yeah. Wonder where the next one's going to be.
Well, yeah, there may be camels in the background, who knows? But I personally hope not. I think where it was in Spain was fabulous. It's not the ideal. It's never the right conditions. But where on earth is?
Yeah.
We have the same issue here in Melbourne. Some days are blowing a gale, other days they're beautiful, and some days there's no wind.
Sandringham Yacht Club. We'd host it, wouldn't we?
We would. Oh, if
We'd do it for them?
if you'd like it done really well, yes, you'd come here. Absolutely.
Well, we're at Sandringham Yacht Club right now. We've had the Sail Sandy Regatta this weekend with 175 boats. It was a great success. I sailed with my daughter Claire, and we had a great time out there. We didn't bother the scorers, but we had a great time. And it was a terrific regatta. And apologies for all the noise in the background, but there's always plenty of people here at Sandringham Yacht Club, isn't there?
It is a very active yacht club, and a great sort of camaraderie and feel about the place. I think I can speak for Alistair. It's pretty much our second home.
And your wife is the?
Well, she's the Vice Commodore now.
Vice Commodore, there you go.
So I'm the official handbag.
On that note, Tom and Julia and all the Fosey, we're going to check out because there's a bit of background noise here as well. And it's been a pleasure talking to you, Chris.
Thanks, Alistair.
And good to catch up. And all power to Sailing Illustrated. We love it, don't we?
We do indeed. It's a highlight each week, or twice each week.
Good on you.
Yeah, all the best. Thanks, Tom.
See ya. Bye.
What a great sport we have.
Oh gosh, yes.
I don't think I've ever laid eyes on Chris Fury before, but I feel like I've known him because he's been in here commenting. He was on all the most, if not all of the watch parties at a great yacht club. And then you get people who I had no idea knew Chris Fury. In the comments, you see my dear friend, Mary Longpre, who is a photographer extraordinaire down at Balboa Yacht Club, and I've gotten to know her for so many years now at Governor's Cup. And she loves Australia. She goes over there to Hamilton Island Race Week and other events. So good to see you, Chris. I got to know Chris during Geelong Yacht Club races over many years, looking great. Alan Long agrees. Great individual, great vid, great individuals. And Alistair, thank you very much. Chris, thank you very much. It's always, whoa! I had to push their audio up a little bit. It's great to get these videos. I've got another one from Alistair that will run Tuesday. And John Emmett and Alistair and anyone else, like Jonathan Frank's video today from Frankfurt. I think we all love to see from our Fosey wherever in the world you are. Thanks. Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote for this week and really the last several weeks. The Finn, we've been telling you about the Finn Europeans. We told you about that on Tuesday at some length. Big event, the 2024 Open and U23 Finn Europeans, and incorporating the Masters, is the European Masters, is taking place in Cannes, France, from 18 to 25 October, hosted by the Yacht Club de Cannes in conjunction with the IFA, fully 152, a record number of boats, entries from 22 countries. They've had a struggle with the wind in the Mediterranean in October. Who would have thought? But they did get some racing in. Yeah, I don't know how it went today. This is from yesterday, from day 4, and here is their report. Okay, nice report from the Finn class. No voiceover, nothing from Robert Deves other than that nice video. But I have gone on while that video was playing and looking here at their release from today, from 1 hour ago. Italy's Alessandro Marega has won the Finn Europeans after the final day brought even more drama and turnarounds. Valérien Lebrun from France ended up second, and he also takes the European Masters title, while Hungary's Christoph Kaiser won the bronze. The Gold Fleet races were won by Lebrun, and Australia's Paul McKenzie. Unfortunately, the only racing held was the 2 Gold Fleet races amid forecasts of strong wind and storms, while the Silver Fleet were held on shore and then abandoned. So that's the deal. And there is Felipe Silva from Portugal on day 5. In any event, that's the full report, and maybe we'll have a video from them for Tuesday and some more about. I'm not going to run this video, day 5 highlights from Cannes, but Marega said, "I'm super happy, and in the end, I'm not the one that won European Championship, but the whole process did, the commitment, the fatigue of this whole last year, and I must say that sacrifices in the end really pay off." Sounds like John Emmett talking to us. So bravo Zulu to him. I was going to run that picture of him that I grabbed last night because it looked like he was going to win. He had been winning through the week. Alessandro Marega from Italia was the ostensible leader. And I say ostensible because last night they'd had a whole lot of protests and requests for redress and scoring inquiries because of the light air and some stuff that was going on out on the water. Apparently it was a bit of a madness. The 4th day, which was yesterday of the 2024 Finn Europeans, was and is filled with drama and uncertainty after a day of waiting for wind, then multiple restarts, and finally multiple hearings in the jury room. But bravo Zulu to Alessandro, who did win. And world number 1, Laurent Hay, you wonder what happened to him. Now, that is a cool picture, isn't it?
Yep.
It looks like he's standing in that Markset bot, in the Mark bot. But he's obviously standing in his own boat. But yesterday, he had 2 BFDs, black flag disqualifications, for apparently being over the starting line after they'd already put the black flag signal up, saying if you're over the line early, you're going to get DSQ'd. You get disqualified. So he had won remember, we talked about that, winning the preliminary regatta, the warm-up regatta. He won it.
Yeah.
And he won it. He didn't go off to the start and then, or to the finish rather, and then, instead of crossing the finish line and winning it, as I always said, we're superstitious. You don't want to win the warm-up regatta. You'll never win the regular one. And he won the warm-up regatta, and now he got nixed 2 BFDs. Hot tub mode deployed. Yeah, Nick Craig. Is Nick a Brit or a Kiwi? He's won multiple world championships on OK dinghies. He was there doing well. Thank you for that, Fritz Mueller, and I know that J. Frederick Bland knows him as well. Bravo Zulu to all of them, and to the class for yet another fabulous turnout, despite not being Olympic
Maybe
anymore.
because there aren't Olympic.
There are a lot of people who would argue that, we get out of the Olympics and a lot of more common folks come back into the class, less afraid to come compete. And you see that in the Star class, you see that in the Finn class, you see that in the 5.5 and the Dragon. And the Star, of course, as well. Gordon Smith, I want to hear Tom read out the results of the Finnish National Regatta. That should be entertaining. Gordon, I know my limitations. I would not ever be that.
Brave.
Brave. Well, brave and more. I'm not that stupid either. Okay, let's get to the Cup, because now it's the Cup silly season, Julia, for a couple reasons. One is because the venue, everybody, when's it going to be? Where is it going to be? And you heard Mark Reed say, it's still going to be here in Barcelona. And you hear Julie Aaron say, no way, it's going to be in the Middle East, but not in Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of water to come over that dam, and probably a lot of dam to come over that water before we're done.
Yeah.
So let's start to look into the other part of the silly season, which is why the Kiwis won, why the Brits lost, and there's as many opinions as there are people in the sport, and particularly smart people in the sport. I had a long talk with our good Italian Finn sailing friend and former chairman, CEO of the Plus 39 America's Cup Syndicate, Luca Devoti, the other day. he promises to come on the show, maybe from Singapore during the World Sailing Annual Meeting.
Oh, good.
And he's got some very, very interesting observations and thoughts on who won, on how the Kiwis won the Cup, and perhaps more importantly, why the other teams didn't win the Cup. To that end, I give you a little bit of an AC 37/38 update here. This from Tom Morris of the Brit, who's been running this Mozzie Sails YouTube channel. We'll get Tom on here sooner or later, but he continues to make interesting observations. Some of them I think are way off the mark, but most of them I think have been really spot on the mark. Sometimes he makes interesting observations that no one else makes and attributes more to them perhaps than what the real value was in terms of making the boat go fast. But he does come up with some things that other people have not caught or cottoned, we might say in this country, onto. I commend it to you. It was a long video today. I watched it. But go to the Mozzie Sails YouTube channel and watch Tom's latest video with his two colleagues. And it's original, and Yar Vahe is saying, yes, it's early. Yes, it's early. So it's interesting info, and I agree, and I commend it to you, and sooner or later we'll get Tom here on the channel. Now, the other interesting bit of info, which I will delve into here a bit, came via Tip and Shaft. That weekly, comes out on Friday, newsletter that we've been commending to you for years now, comes out of France, with the interesting name that I know a lot of you like, Tip and Shaft, about sail racing. Not yacht racing, they call it sail racing, but here was their take on the America's Cup via their expert designers, a panel of expert designers and engineers whom they debriefed here this week. The 37th America's Cup, I'm only going to exit a few paragraphs from this long article. 37th America's Cup came to a close last Saturday with ETNZ's clear 7-2 victory over Ineos Britannia. Tip and Shaft take stock of this edition with architects Guillaume Verdier, Martin Fisher, Sam Menard, Benjamin Mule, and Antoine Lariat Prevost, and engineer Dimitri Despieres, with whom I have done, in fact, both him and, Verdier and Benjamin Mule have done cups with them, notably the 2010 Cup. But these guys are all superb engineers, naval architects, superb keen observers of the passing scene, and of course some of them were heavily involved in this last edition. And I quote this from the article: despite the differences between the two AC-75s, our experts believe that the victory of Peter Burling's men was not necessarily down to the intrinsic qualities of the boats, Tom Morris. Quote, if you look at the figures, in VMG terms, we were faster in more than half the races. On the other hand, we generally lost out quite a bit on maneuvers, as John Emmett and many others pointed out, the Zoomers pointed out during our watch parties, how much better the Kiwis were going into and coming out of the tacks. And also, as Luca Devoti told me the other day, when the Kiwis came out of attack, they were heeled to windward right away, which, as we all know from all sorts of boats, but foiling boats in particular, heeling to windward is good for a number of aerodynamic and hydrodynamic reasons as well if you're in the water. And then when you tack from a heel over to windward position and you tack over onto the other tack, you actually roll tack the boat to a degree, to an extent, same as you would roll tack a laser, an Ilka, or a lot of other dinghies. Which helped them probably propel them through those tacks, or at least help them not lose so much. And also, the comments are coming through loud and clear that the Kiwis package was simply lower drag than everybody else. Their hull shape, was nothing fancy about it, but it was lower drag than the bigger volume Brit hull and so on. I digress here, and this is Martin Fisher, who was with the Brit design team. On the other hand, we generally lost out quite a bit on maneuvers, they put in bold, and probably also on the change of boat mode. When the wind changed, the Kiwis adapted more quickly than we did, confirms Martin Fisher. And again, all of you who are keen yacht racing sailors of any ilk, you know that being able to shift gears, because the conditions are always changing, even if it goes up or down by a half a knot, by a knot. If the sea state changed a little bit, hell, when you're sailing through waves, the sea and the conditions, the apparent wind on the sails is changing with every up and down over waves. And the team that adapts to that, the team that shifts gears into and out of the puffs, into and out of the seaway, into windward and up and leeward legs, you all know as well or better than I how important shifting gears is. And the Kiwis, we also did that beautifully. Quote, there were far fewer differences between the finalists than in the 36th Cup. Good point. On the other hand, there were differences in the way they used the boat and exploited its potential, particularly in maneuvers and transition zones, adds Sam Menard. Jody Shields says, I thought very early on that the Pommies, the Brits, were slow in the corners. Also, once again, the Kiwis built and sailed it like a massive moth. Yes. It's not rocket science. The other teams will switch on eventually, follow the moth world, and you will see.
Interesting.
And Ed Worley agreeing that shifting gears is critical. Keep your head out of the boat and look at what the wind and waves are doing. Remember, too, where the Kiwis had their flight controller.
Yep.
All the way forward. Which is interesting. Okay, another quote out of that long article. And again, it's free. You can go to tipandshaft.com and get a free subscription. It comes into your email inbox every Friday. Friday morning, our time. And New Zealanders were clinical and solid throughout and managed to execute things in an incredible way. It was really a beautiful choreography, admires Benjamin Mule. This can be explained by the experience of a team that has relied on the same hard core for 3 editions. The time spent on the water, of course, as well, but also by a great deal of work on external aids to navigation, a key element of success. In other words, their software was better. One aspect that was very important this year was the software, confirms Antoine Loriot-Prevost. Quote, in fact, we saw the English take a major step forward during the LVC, and it seems that a lot depended on the modification and improvement of their navigation software codes, quote unquote.
Yep. That was commented on at the time.
A lot of comments, indeed. For Dimitri Despieres, this is a major challenge for the 38th edition if the measurement rules change little. Quote, today, the biggest gains are in the use of the boat and its intelligence, meaning the software, and the information that's coming into it by whatever means. So in the programming we can do to facilitate the crew's work. And in this respect, the Kiwis have delivered a master class. When you see them tacking and coming out super stable, you feel the work of the crew, but also all that the intelligence of the boat can allow. As Guillaume Verdier sums up, quote, it's one thing to have a space shuttle in your hands. It's quite another to use it properly. That, to me, is the bottom line, underlining everything, the quote of the whole series, quote of this article, certainly, beautifully put. Gordon Smith, tip and shaft, having hardcore. I have to read it again, paying more attention this time. Yes. Yeah, it's not something you just breeze through. You really, and part of the problem, of course, in fairness, is that it goes out in French. And then that's not an that's not a Google translation I've done. It comes to me in English. You can select English, but they are doing some kind of a machine translation and then cleaning it up, no doubt, by hand. So it's not always perfect, but you get the gist. Dolly DeVola is saying the twin main sheet, which Tom Morris was talking about today in that video, twin main sheet was a bigger advantage the challengers should have copied. I'm not so sure about that, Dolly. They all studied it. They all knew it. And Tom Morris asserted that they couldn't, the challengers, it was too late for them to copy it because of that whole traveler bar system underneath the transom for the main sheet traveler. But I don't know about all that. that whole separate main sheet control, whether that made that big a difference. But we'll find out. I'll talk to some more people. You all will talk to some more people. And it's shame, Yarvahe, shame the podcast isn't available in French. Do you mean?
You can probably get it from them.
You mean in English, Yar? I'm not sure what podcast he's talking about. Yep. Yeah. So Blake Middleton making a tongue-in-cheek comment here, a little sarcasm there. Software cyclers, close to 100% foiling time needed in all winds. Yep. This all relates to the entire sport of sailing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's a little, it's sad. Yeah, Alan Long agreeing with me. Maybe that main sheet system made a difference. It's smart redundancy, Fritz Mueller saying, regardless, yeah. Gordon Smith in the original Lithuanian. Yeah, okay. TNS podcast, Tip and Shaft podcast is in French, and he's saying, wouldn't it be nice if it were in English? Yeah, it would be. Okay, let's go to our featured segment for today. Revealed the 11-team lineup for Dubai's 2025 season opener for SailGP. That is our featured segment. And their press release came out yesterday. The SailGP has revealed the lineup of the largest F-50 fleet yet, with 11 teams hitting the starting line in Dubai in less than a month. And there will be 12 teams eventually this season, the 5th season. The Emirates Dubai Grand Prix is presented by P&O Marinas on November 23-24, so in a month's time. We'll host the debut racing of performances of 2 new nations, Brazil and Italy, while France will sit out the first event. Why? Well, we'll tell you that in a moment, but there are the 11 teams: Australia, Canada, Rockwool, Denmark, Emirates, GBR, Germany, USA, Switzerland, the Black Foils, which of course are New Zealand. They need to do both. You need to do the country code NZL Black Foils if you're going to be the 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers, FF 49ers, the NZL Black Foils. España, Mubadala, Brazil, and Italia. So Jimmy Spithill's team is in from Italy, and that's maybe the biggest news of all. With less than a month to go until the 2025 season opener in Dubai, SailGP has revealed its starting lineup and largest fleet yet. A total of 11 teams will race in Dubai and will debut performances from, as we said, from Brazil and an incoming Italian team spearheaded by SailGP legend, America's Cup legend, Jimmy Spithill. France, meanwhile, will sit out the first event as it waits for its in-progress F-50 to be completed up in England, and will join the fleet in Auckland in January 2025. And here is a video from 2 people. I think it's Lisa Darmanin, but I'm not sure who the gentleman is. You all tell me who these 2 people are, please, because SailGP.
So the big question in the off-season was which team is going to miss out on Season 5. Well, the good news is that we're going to have 12 boats on the start line for Season 5. But unfortunately, the boat will not be ready for Dubai, so 1 team will miss the first event.
Well, and that boat is going to be the French. The French won't be there in Dubai, so it's no Contan for the Contan fans out there. I know there's a lot of you, but yeah, they'll be back in Auckland. They're going to get some compensatory points given to them for Dubai. So great news overall. You know, that boat's been fast-tracked out in New Zealand. That's why it'll be ready for racing when we get out there. And I was a bit worried we'd only have 11 boats for a lot longer than that. But the French are going to have to wait a little bit. But yeah, pretty big news, and must be a little bit disappointing for the French.
I think it would be disappointing, but as you said, the main thing is they're going to be back. We'll have to miss them in the Middle East, but they'll be back for Auckland, and it's going to be an epic event then. 12 boats on the start line. I can't wait.
I can't wait. I think a lot of you are waiting, are excited about this and can't wait. And that is apparently Stevie Morrison. Thank you. Who would have known sooner or better than Jody Shields? Thank you for that, Jody, who's been doing commentary on and off. He's saying, sadly, I won't be continuing with SailGP behind the lock this year, as SailGP want us to be fully independent financially to continue with the show, unless someone out there wants to become a backer of his radio broadcast, the Behind the Lock, as it was called, Behind the Halyard Lock. So Jody will not apparently be doing that unless he finds a major sponsor who's going to contribute dollars into the SailGP system, as well as back his expenses, no doubt. Okay, so Stevie Morrison, and that is Lisa, right? Are we sure that's Lisa? I wasn't sure. There was no mention of them in the video. There was no mention in a lower third. There was no mention in the video where that was contained on the website. So I just didn't know. Without Jimmy on the helm, one hears the new Italian SailGP crew are all imposters. Okay, Stingray. Yeah, Lisa Darmanin. Okay, good. Good. Okay, so here's a couple other details on all of that. In a month's time, the team's potential new ownership group, that is the French team, opted to wait for the league's newest F50 and miss the first event rather than knock one of the other teams out of the box, for which France will be awarded, you heard Lisa say, compensatory points, average points for missing out in Dubai. Despite this, the team will attend the season launch in Dubai and take part in a series of scheduled training days post-racing. This all from SailGP. This means that both Season 4 champions Spain and New Zealand's Blackfoils will compete in the upcoming championship, with commercial discussions around both league-owned teams continuing. So again, those teams are not owned by private investors. They're not full franchises yet. They're owned still by the league. Led by former SailGP star and, of course, multiple America's Cup winner Jimmy Spithill, Italy is the second new national team to join SailGP this season. Its confirmation comes a year after Spithill announced his intention to form the team after leaving the U.S. team, which he drove for over 2 seasons. More details on the Italian SailGP team will follow in the coming weeks, including the full athlete lineup. So in a month's time,
I'm surprised they don't
SailGP.
have. I mean, I love Spithill, but I'm surprised they don't have an Italian skipper.
I think you'll see. Well, Jimmy may not. I think he's going to helm, but he may not. He may pull himself off the helm. We'll see. I think he's the team owner. I think he's the team principal, shall we say. Blake Middleton, look at the SailGP boats. You can even see the sailors on the boats not hiding and biking below decks.
Yeah.
Gordon Smith, we all agree that the U.S. team needs to show a serious improvement. They're very good at social media, but not so good on the water. We shall see. Still talking about pasta here. You see that? Still talking about pasta. On World Pasta Day, on Andrew Davola, Dolly Davola, saying the boats will be on T-foils this season. Yes, I didn't include that, but they have gone from the L-foils in the centerboard cases, the dagger foils. They will be T-foils this year, which should make the boats even faster.
Yep.
And Chris actually tongue-in-cheek saying to Gordon, you think? Meaning you think the U.S. teams got to improve? They were pretty awful last year with the new regime, but we'll see if Taylor Canfield and co. and Mr. Buckley, Mike Buckley, can get themselves going this year. Okay, in a month's time. So we got a lot going on. We've got SailGP coming up. We've got the Vendée Globe, which will follow.
Yes.
Show after show after show, as we did. It's hard to believe that was 4 years ago. Yeah. We followed Vendée Globe so intensively. 4 years. How time flies, Julia. We're almost to show 800. Almost. Show 800, 777, introduced today by our Fozy and 777 pilot.
I love that. Yeah.
Huh? Jonathan Frank. That was good. Okay, let's get to the last leg. We're an hour and 44 minutes into this, so not as long as I thought it might be. I thought this one would run a touch longer. Yes, the Brazilian boat, before we leave SailGP, Jeff Kitson is saying, yes, the Brazilian boat has Martina Grail on the helm.
Aha.
So that is good to know as well. And Clark Chapin, pretty awful is an oxymoron like military justice and postal service. Okay. And fornicating foxes, Julia.
Wow.
Is that an oxymoron? I don't think so.
No.
Certainly. I'm worried about the T-foils ruining the flow boat racing that SailGP is great for. What does that mean, the flow boat racing? Slow boat racing? I'm not sure if that's a typo, Jody. Alistair Murray, thank you for your contribution to today's show. He's off for a ride. We're at Saturday morning in Sydney at nearly 9 a.m. Yeah, time to go for a bike ride, get some fitness in. A foxy moron, Alistair Murray is. Good, well done. Okay,
that's good. That's really good.
That is good. Yeah. The last leg. Julia, do you recognize this race course?
Yes. It's around the world.
It is the Vendée Globe, the 10th edition, coming up starting on the 10th of November. So in 2 weeks from Sunday, we've got another Vendée Globe underway, non-stop around the world, single-handed. It gets lonely out there, and they go around they leave the 3 capes, the major capes, to port. Cape Esperance, Cape Hope, that, of course, Cape Lewin, the southwestern corner. I've been down to Cape Lewin in Australia. That was good fun back during the 86, 87 America's Cup. And Cape Horn, and that is their course. But you know what? This is a more interesting, I think, look at their race course from the South Pole. Because really what it is, it's a race down and around Antarctica. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? I sound like I'm from Michigan.
Yeah.
Sorry, Clark Chapin. It's really a race from this perspective around Antarctica.
Interesting.
Graham Sweeney's made a joke that it's the Kiwis that have pasta foils because they cannellini.
Oh, Graham.
Yeah, what? They're not involving the Saudis. J. Frederick Bland's wanting to know why the race course isn't going somehow to and through the Red Sea and stopping in Saudi Arabia or something. There is the course, and there, I'll tell you, there's a video. I didn't run it, but there was a video. It was a little long, and it was in French, but of the walkabout at the village there in Le Sable d'Olonne in France, where the race starts and finishes. And you talk about an amazing throng of people already.
Yes.
They're assembled and doing the dock walks and talking to the sailors and the sponsors and everything that's going on. It is an astonishingly cool venue and action there going on. And here is, we're going to cover again, I suppose. You tell us who you want us to cover, but we'll cover for sure Pip Hare. And she's put a video out about the course, and it was a little long, so I'm not going to use that. But our other friend, the German sailor whose sponsor is Milizia, and he sails for Monaco.
Yeah.
But he was celebrated in Hamburg here at the end of the last race and in between. Remember that the Vendée New York?
Yes.
Over to Europe race too.
Mm-hmm.
But have a look here at this video, and I think we're going to cover this gentleman as well. Boris Herrmann.
The Vendée Globe is about conquering challenges and digging deep within myself, finding the power to overcome anything. It has become my everyday motor, my fear, my childhood dream. It has become my life. It is in the details, the planning and mitigating the risks. It involves taking responsibility for tough decisions alone, trusting my instincts and overcoming fear. For 3 months, I will be alone in the most hostile places on our planet, racing as hard as I can. But I'm carried by the energy of so many who share the same spirit in a much wider sense. While broadcasting live from the boat, I will bring the public to the most remote parts of the ocean, including children who will follow our educational program. This race advances ocean and climate science by providing crucial data from the vastly undersampled southern oceans and highlights the climate action undertaken by our partners. I'm inspired by those who, just like us, refuse to accept no, strive to make the impossible possible, and strongly believe in the incredible things we can achieve together. Because no matter what, however this human and technological adventure ends, this is a race we can win. It is a race we must win. This is what the Vendée Globe means to me.
Okay, a little virtue signaling there, but not bad. And he's so interesting and so personable. And of course, he's German, sailing for Monaco. And we'll also follow Pip Hare, as I mentioned. And I think we should be following, yes, for sure, Samantha Davies, Sam Davies, and Sam Goodchild. Gushield. We'll follow them. And let's hope that Boris Herrmann has a good event. Let's hope that Pip Hare, and let's hope all of them have a safe event
Yes,
and
indeed.
a safe race, Julia,
Yes, but
around the world.
they'll be in our hands the whole way, though. We should help.
Well, we will, and we'll follow it. I
Yeah.
think, you know, I think this race is more interesting. I'm I'm not sorry to say it, but I think this race is more interesting than the ocean race, which stops here, there, and everywhere, and is now going to end in the Red Sea of all places, that famously good yacht racing nation of Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Following, no doubt, the money.
Mm-hmm.
So not these guys. They've got a great sponsor in that Vendée region
Yep.
of France. That's the sponsor. And they start and finish, as they have now for 10, or this will be the 10th edition, start and finish in Le Sable d'Olonne.
Yeah.
And the people come and they watch, and it's fabulous.
Mhm.
Clark Chapin, as always, the race should end with the same sailors that it started with.
Yes.
One can only hope, Clark. Thank you for that. Okay, that gets us through to the D block for this 777 edition of Sailing Illustrated, and the month is about out too, but not quite. We got another show or two in this month of October, and we got a few funnies for you here at the end of the show, all courtesy of Fozy. Now, this one, Julia, do you get it?
Yes.
This came from Vice Commodore Claire Harrington,
That's good.
who is a musician.
Yeah.
And she plays the organ
Mm-hmm.
and other things, but piano and organ. She was the organist for many years at St. George's School in Middletown, Rhode Island, out just there in Newport, that famously good middle school, a middle prep school. And she sent this to me. She didn't take the picture. I tried to track it down, but there is a company, no joke, called the Do Re Mi So Fa. Only it's So Fa, not Fa So. But somebody was extremely clever in naming their sofa company.
Yes.
And no doubt musicians, or at least fans of
Yes.
The Hills Are Alive, fans of the Sound of Music. Is that store in L.A.? No, I don't. They may have a store in L.A. I believe that picture is from the Mall of America up near Blake Middleton in Minnesota. I believe that's where that storefront is. I know there's one in Livonia, Michigan. I quickly Googled it this morning, and there is a Do Re Mi sofa store in Livonia, Michigan, near Clark Chapin. Yeah, they got to work a La in there. I guess that's Gordon Smith making a funny about a La. Is there a store in La? But that's that funny. It was a good one, Claire. Thank you. Here's one from Ed Worley. At a wedding party recently, someone yelled, quote, "All married people, please stand next to the one person who has made your life worth living." You can read the punchline,
And
Julia.
the bartender was almost crushed to death.
That came from Ed Worley. That was a good one. And Julia, now this one, get your finger ready.
All right.
This is actually fairly clean, but it's, hi, how are you? I'm doing okay, I guess. What are you doing? Just taking care of business. Can I come over? No, I'm busy right now. Hey, listen, I need to call you back. Some idiot in the other stall keeps answering all my questions. I laughed out loud when I saw that. And that came through from Greg Phillips in Australia.
Uh-huh.
But you have to, how many times have you ever talked on a stall on your phone? Do you even do that upstairs in the Commodores in your apartment? Do you talk on the phone? You don't even take your phone into the bathroom, do you?
I have to, well, if I don't have my watch on, I do.
Well, that's in case you have a problem. You need
Yeah.
somebody to come help you out.
Yeah.
But I can't believe. I mean, the phone, which is already probably the dirtiest thing that any of us owns, don't take it into the bathroom. There's all sorts of stuff floating around in the atmosphere in the bathroom, isn't there?
I don't
That's
know.
why our toothbrushes are in there too. We brush our teeth in the same place.
After all this time, I'm not going to worry about it.
Here is Don Schaffner passed away yesterday. He was a great sailor. Joe Holtzman, thank you for that. He was a interlake sailor that you and I and Clark Chapin and others in that class would know. That's sad news. Okay, well, Greg Phillips, thank you thank you for this.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, Julia.
Yes.
Anybody who goes to the airport, this apparently is really happening. And you know what? I found it online. This was not a submission. I found it on Facebook or something. The cuddle crackdown.
Yeah.
At New Zealand Airport, farewell hugs have been limited to 3 minutes.
Yes.
The max hug time is 3 minutes. For fonder farewells, please use the car park. And there was a lot of criticism of this I think I found that in Facebook. But I don't blame, I mean, you know what it's like when you're trying to get a brief drop-off point on the curb at the departure section of an airport, and there's cars piled up and people are out getting whatever they're getting from their friends and family who are leaving, and hugs and cuddles. Apparently it's a real problem in New Zealand. What do you think?
I'm more curious about what more interesting things they've seen
going on in the cuddle.
Yeah.
In the cuddle.
Yeah.
Well, I've never seen anything untoward. Have you?
No.
Huh?
Mm-mm.
People just get out and hug and kiss, don't they?
Yeah.
And arrivals, same thing. Why not?
Why not?
I didn't think this was. But the fact, you would think this was in Germany, not in New Zealand. Germans need rules, having lived there for 10 years. Julia gets a finger wag, Yarvahe is saying, because she's talking about, I like to watch to see what people are doing when they're at the airport. Okay, enough of this. Let's get to the finish line. Let's wrap. Doe, a deer, a female deer. Yes, Stingray, and deer. Okay, enough of all this. And we started out with pasta. We're not going to end with pasta today. We're going to end with Julia telling us, reminding us.
Yes. Please like, follow, and share.
Yeah, Rick Bannerow from Agnolini to Zitti, A to Z. And comments are welcome, even in replay. Thank you all very much for supporting us via Patreon, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. We really appreciate your support, and we also thank you, those of you who let us have audio, video, and images for today's show. A reminder that next Friday, a week from today, we will have none other than James Pleasance, the Executive Director of the World Match Racing Tour, will be our guest on live via Skype from Bermuda, and he promises, as he did last time, I think he had the Priceys on with him last time. They were in Bermuda during this World Match Racing Tour stop at the Bermuda Gold Cup. He will be on next Friday, updating us on that event. And we're looking forward to him. Thanks to all of you in the chat. Canelani. It's in the Canelani. People are so clever. Vendée Globe watch party. What time is that, Bobby Steele? Is that noon in Le Sable alone, which is 0300 here? Oh, what the hell? Maybe we can do that. Bye-bye, Ted Ryman. Bye-bye, Jody. Julia's comments put a whole new spin on arrival and departure hall.
I was just commenting over the sign.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday. In the meantime, have a great rest of your weekend, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for watching. And in the meantime, of course, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.